Have you ever noticed how some men walk into a room and instantly command attention? It's not just their looks, it's not their money, it's not even what they say. It's something deeper, more primal, something that emanates from their being like an invisible force that inspires respect, admiration, and even a strange magnetic attraction. There's an ancestral secret that these men know, consciously or unconsciously, that modern society has deliberately obscured, turning it into a taboo, a shame, something to be ignored or repressed. But what if I told you that within you lies a source of power so intense, so transformative, that simply understanding and applying it can completely rewrite your reality? The energy that moves the universe, that creates worlds, that ignites passions and builds empires, is flowing through you right now. It's the same force that propelled history's greatest geniuses, that fueled humanity's most extraordinary achievements, that transformed ordinary men into charismatic leaders, powerful visionaries, and tireless creators. This energy isn't abstract, it's not empty philosophy, it's real, physical, measurable, and you're wasting it every day without even realizing it. Napoleon Hill, in his profound studies of the success patterns of the most accomplished men of his time, discovered something that would forever change our understanding of human achievement. He observed a direct correlation between a man's ability to master and transmute his sexual energy and his ability to accomplish great feats in other areas of life. It wasn't coincidence, it was natural law. It was pure alchemy happening within the human body and mind. We live in a society that conditions us from a young age to view sexual desire as something primitive, animalistic, something that must be instantly gratified so we can move on with our lives. We're bombarded with messages that normalize the compulsive pursuit of pleasure, that turn masturbation into self-care, that reduce one of the universe's most powerful forces to mere tension relief. It's like taking diamonds and using them as pebbles to shoot birds. It's like having access to a nuclear power plant and using it only to heat water for tea. But the men who understood the true power of semen retention discovered something revolutionary. When you stop wasting this energy through unnecessary ejaculations, when you learn to contain, circulate, and transmute this vital force, it doesn't simply disappear. It transforms. It refines. It exponentially potentiates and begins to manifest in other dimensions of your existence. Semen isn't just a biological fluid. Within this seemingly simple substance is concentrated the essence of creation itself, the genetic information of millennia of evolution, the quintessence of your masculine vitality. When you retain this energy, when you honor its sacredness, something extraordinary happens in your nervous system, in your brain chemistry, in your energetic presence. Imagine your body as a complex electrical circuit. Sexual energy is the most potent current flowing through this circuit. When you constantly waste it through compulsive masturbation or unconscious sex, it's like creating a permanent short circuit, draining all the power from the system. But when you learn to retain it, when you develop the self-control necessary to contain this force, it begins to circulate through more refined channels, fueling higher nerve centers, activating dormant potentials, awakening capacities you didn't even know you possessed. Men who practice semen retention with consciousness and purpose report transformations that border on the impossible. A dramatic increase in physical energy, crystal clear mental clarity, irresistible personal magnetism, explosive creativity, unshakable confidence, a charismatic presence that naturally attracts opportunities, relationships, and success. It's not magic, it's applied science. It's a deep understanding of how the human machine works when operated at its maximum capacity. Think of the great leaders, the creative geniuses, the visionary entrepreneurs who changed the world. Tesla, who remained celibate for decades while channeling his sexual energy into revolutionary inventions. Gandhi, who discovered in sexual restraint an inexhaustible source of moral strength and spiritual leadership. Steve Jobs, known for periods of abstinence that preceded his greatest innovations. These men, consciously or unconsciously, discovered the secret of sexual transmutation. But let's be honest about what this really means. Semen retention isn't simply not having sex or not masturbating. That would be repression, and repression breeds neuroses, frustrations, and destructive outbursts. True sexual transmutation is an art, a science, a path of personal development that requires emotional maturity, mental discipline, and deep spiritual understanding. When you decide to embark on this journey, you're essentially declaring war against your conditioned patterns, against the automatic impulses that have controlled your life until now. You're choosing to break free from the instant gratification matrix that keeps most men trapped in cycles of mediocrity and dependence. And like any war worth fighting, this one won't be easy. In the early days, your body will protest. It's accustomed to regular relief, to the hormonal discharge that comes with ejaculation. You'll feel tension, restlessness, and energy that seems to want to explode. Your mind will create 1,000 justifications for you to just this once revert to old patterns. This is the initial test. This is where most give up, convincing themselves that this doesn't work, or that it's not natural. But if you persevere, if you weather this first storm of internal resistance, something magical begins to happen. The energy that was once wasted in seconds of superficial pleasure begins to accumulate, to concentrate, to seek new channels of expression. You notice that your mind is sharper during the day, that your concentration is more intense, that your ability to make decisions is clearer and more decisive. Understanding sexual transmutation. At this point, you need to grasp a fundamental principle of sexual transmutation. Unrestrained energy simply accumulates, waiting to be released. It needs to be consciously redirected towards higher purposes. If you merely retain it without giving this force a constructive direction, it can manifest as irritability, aggression, anxiety, or even obsessive thoughts. The key lies in conscious sublimation. When you feel sexual energy intensifying in your body, instead of seeking relief through masturbation, you learn to channel that energy into your projects, your dreams, your goals. You transform it into fuel for more intense physical workouts, for more productive work sessions, for more inspired artistic creations, for more charismatic social interactions. Physically, the effects of semen retention are measurable and dramatic. Your testosterone levels not only remain elevated, but optimize in a way that no external supplementation could achieve. Your voice naturally deepens, your posture straightens, your gaze becomes more penetrating. There's a physical presence that emanates from you, a solidity, a masculine gravitas that others perceive instantly, even without being able to explain exactly what it is. Mentally, the transformation is even more impressive. Compulsive masturbation creates a neural pattern of instant gratification that spreads to other areas of life. When you break this pattern through conscious retention, you're literally rewiring your brain to tolerate tension, to delay gratification, to persist in the face of resistance. This new neural programming manifests as increased discipline in all aspects of your life. Spiritually, semen retention awakens dimensions of your masculinity that our materialistic culture systematically suppresses. You begin to connect with ancestral archetypes of the warrior, the king, the sage, the magician. There's a dignity, a sense of purpose, a connection to something greater that emerges naturally when you stop wasting your most precious life force. But perhaps the most powerful transformation happens in your interactions with the external world. Women, especially, possess an instinctive sensitivity to detect men who retain their sexual energy. It's not something they consciously process, but rather something they perceive on a primitive, visceral level. It's as if they sense the presence of a man who doesn't need them for completion, who isn't desperately seeking validation through sex, who possesses an inner fullness that is naturally attractive. This magnetism isn't limited to women. Other men also respond differently to your presence. There's an automatic respect, a subtle deference that emerges. Professional opportunities appear more easily, negotiations become more favorable, your word carries more weight. It's as if the universe begins to collaborate with you more intensely. And here, at this crucial point in our journey together, I need to pause to speak directly to you. If this content is resonating with your soul, if you're feeling that you've finally found someone willing to speak the truth about these subjects that society prefers to keep secret, then I invite you to become part of this community of men who are committed to excellence, to evolution, to realizing their maximum potential. Click the subscribe button now and activate the notification bell, because in the next videos, we'll delve even deeper into these transformative teachings. I'll show you specific techniques, practical exercises, mental strategies that will accelerate your journey of sexual transformation. This isn't information you find anywhere, and you deserve to have full access to this knowledge that can change your life forever. Subscribe now and join the thousands of men who are already experiencing this transformation. The journey of semen retention isn't just about not ejaculating, it's about rediscovering who you truly are when you're not constantly draining your life force. It's about reconnecting with your purest, most powerful, most authentic masculine essence. When you stop seeking compulsive pleasure, you create inner space for deeper purposes to emerge. Many men live their entire lives without ever experiencing their true capacity. They believe that constant fatigue is normal, that lack of motivation is natural, that the absence of personal magnetism is simply how they are. But this is an illusion created by the constant waste of sexual energy. It's like judging the power of a sports car while it's got the emergency brake on and is running on flat tires. Sexual energy is the most refined fuel your body produces. When you waste it through compulsive masturbation, you're literally depriving yourself of the material needed to build greatness in your life. Every unnecessary ejaculation is an investment not made in your future, a lost opportunity to accumulate personal power, an unconscious choice of mediocrity over excellence. But when you choose the path of conscious retention, when you decide to honor this energy as the sacred force that it is, extraordinary transformations begin to happen in multiple dimensions of your existence. Your physical body becomes more vibrant, more magnetic, more present. Your mind becomes sharper, more focused, more creative. Your spirit connects with dimensions of purpose and meaning that were previously inaccessible. There's a reason why virtually all spiritual traditions in the world, from Hindu Tantra to Chinese Taoism, from Christian mystical practices to Western esoteric disciplines, recognize the containment and transmutation of sexual energy as one of the most direct paths to higher human development. It's not a coincidence. It's universal recognition of a fundamental truth about how human consciousness works. When you retain your sexual energy, you're essentially accumulating concentrated creative power. This energy can then be consciously channeled into any area of your life needing a boost. Want to build a thriving business? Direct this energy towards your entrepreneurial vision. Want to develop exceptional artistic skills? Use this force as fuel for your creativity. Want to attract amazing relationships? Let this energy elevate your magnetic presence. The practice of semen retention also awakens leadership qualities dormant in most modern men. When you demonstrate to yourself that you can control your body's most powerful urge, when you prove you can choose higher purpose over immediate gratification, you develop an inner confidence that's impossible to fake. This authentic confidence, based on real discipline and not superficial posturing, naturally attracts followers, inspires respect, and creates opportunities. There's also a profound psychological dimension to this practice that's rarely discussed. Compulsive masturbation often serves as an escape from difficult emotions, challenging responsibilities, and uncomfortable realities. It's an endogenous drug that temporarily relieves anxiety, boredom, frustration, and loneliness. But like all drugs, it's addictive and weakens your ability to constructively deal with these challenges. When you choose conscious retention, you're choosing to fully feel what needs to be felt, to directly confront what needs to be confronted, to authentically process what needs to be processed. This emotional availability, this presence with your own internal experience, is fundamental to mature psychological growth. You stop running from yourself and begin to become friends with your own depths. The man who practices semen retention consciously also develops a completely different relationship with women. Instead of seeing them as objects of sexual gratification, as means to relieve tension, he begins to recognize them as complex, powerful beings worthy of genuine respect. This shift in perspective creates a much more mature, balanced, and mutually enriching relational dynamic. Paradoxically, when you stop desperately needing sex, when you develop inner fullness through the retention of your vital energy, you become exponentially more sexually attractive. It's as if women sense you possess something valuable that's not being offered easily, something that needs to be earned, deserved, appreciated. This perceived scarcity generates intense desire. Furthermore, when you have sex from a position of energetic abundance instead of scarcity, the experience is completely different. There's more presence, more intensity, more capacity to connect deeply with your partner. Sex becomes less about personal relief and more about genuine communion, less about performance and more about authentic intimacy. The transmutation of sexual energy also activates centers of intelligence that remain dormant in most men. There's a clarity of thought, an ability to see complex patterns, a sharpened intuition that emerges when you stop constantly draining your nervous system through unnecessary ejaculations. Great scientific discoveries, revolutionary works of art, breakthrough technological innovations often emerge from minds that have learned to channel sexual energy towards genius. But perhaps the most transformative aspect of semen retention is how it reconnects you with your sense of spiritual purpose. When you stop wasting the force that literally creates life, you begin to realize your existence has a greater cosmic function. You feel you're here to build something meaningful, to contribute something valuable, to leave a legacy that transcends momentary personal satisfaction. This connection to higher purpose is what transforms ordinary men into extraordinary leaders. It's what allows seemingly average individuals to accomplish seemingly impossible feats. It's the secret fuel behind all great human achievements throughout history. When you authentically commit to the practice of semen retention, you're not just changing a sexual behavior. You're declaring that you choose excellence over mediocrity, that you value real power over superficial pleasure, that you're willing to do the necessary inner work to become the most powerful version of yourself. This choice isn't easy. It requires courage to go against deep social conditioning, discipline to resist primal urges, and wisdom to channel energy in constructive directions. But the men who make this choice discover it's the key that unlocks potentials they didn't even know they possessed. The man who masters his sexual energy isn't the one who denies or represses it. He's the one who recognizes it as the sacred force it is, who honors it through conscious restraint, who transmutes it through elevated purpose. He's the man who understands that within every sexual urge lies the power to create worlds, to transform realities, to manifest impossible visions. When you awaken to this truth, when you begin to live from this understanding, you become irresistible, not because you're trying to seduce, but because you embody a natural force that others instinctively recognize as precious, powerful, and magnetic. You become a magnet for opportunities, relationships, experiences, and accomplishments that are aligned with your new elevated vibration. The journey of sexual transmutation is ultimately the journey back to your most authentic and powerful self. It's the way back home, to who you truly are when you're not being controlled by unconscious impulses, when you're not wasting your vital force, when you're not living below your actual capacity. This is the secret that can transform your life forever. This is the power that has always existed within you, waiting to be recognized, honored, and consciously applied. The choice is yours. You can continue living like most, daily wasting the fuel of your greatness, or you can choose the path of the inner warrior, the personal alchemist, the man who transforms primal urges into refined power. The universe is waiting to see what you'll build with this energy once you finally understand its true worth. Your journey of transformation begins now, in this moment, with the next choice you make when you feel the urge rising. Choose consciously, choose your power, choose to become irresistible through inner mastery, not through external dependence. This is true masculine alchemy. This is the force that moves mountains, that builds empires, that awakens souls, and it's flowing through you right now, awaiting your conscious decision to honor it, contain it, transform it into greatness.